Kyle, this has been a really interesting week for me. I've spoken to a lot of people, and I've actually learned so much in a different kind of way. One of the first things that uh, I did this week was look at all the advertisements and uh, commercials on television. And every single one promises this and they promise that. And what I've discovered is not one of those programs is really interested in anything other than catching you and catching your attention. Every single one of you watching me right now wants to weigh less. And some of you, most of you, much of the time, some of you less of the time, have difficulties staying focused. And what's important to me is that you understand that we are going through a transition as well. Acu-weight loss is becoming Acu-life. We've already begun the transition, and you'll be hearing more about it soon. And the reason we've made the transition is because of the fact that people are having guilt and shame, which is really a process that started in childhood. When you say guilt, it means I feel bad about something that I've done wrong. When we feel shame, we say we're embarrassed about something. Now, I want to weigh less. I want to weigh less. I'm an adult. I've made a decision that I want to weigh less. And yet, it becomes a problem. Now, why in heaven's name does it have to be a problem? The reason it's a problem is it comes from our childhood, the way we've lived. For example, I can remember sitting at the table and my mother saying to me, "You can't get up unless you finish." Now, nobody asked me whether I was happy, whether I was full, whether I was anything. I couldn't get up because I hadn't finished. I was told I had to finish everything when I was a child because people were starving all over the world. Maybe if I ate all my food, they wouldn't be starving. I don't know. I didn't think about it. But I was made to feel guilty, maybe not intentionally, but whatever were in those people's mind at those times, my mother, my father, whatever was in their mind was there, and it taught me something that I was too young to really understand. Now, the one thing we've talked about all the time, if we take drugs, I can take your drugs away from you. If we drink alcohol, I can take alcohol away and you'll survive. But I can't take food away from you. And you can't get rid of food because without food, you can't survive. So we're talking about something that is incredibly powerful that we have to deal with. And not only do we have to deal with it, we have thoughts and feelings that were built into us over our lifetimes that create issues for us. Now, I want to weigh less. You want to weigh less. I want to go for a walk. You want to go for a walk. Nobody's going to say to you, do you think it's a good thing or a bad thing whether you're going for a walk unless there's some physical issue involved? You just want to, and you do. I want to lose weight. Uh-oh, we've got a problem. And the problem is, somehow or other, we have to justify what it is that we want. Now, I'm older than most of you. I've had much more experience in life than most of you. And back about 1 or 2 months ago, 3 months ago, it's hard for me to remember. It was somewhere around Thanksgiving. I decided, and it was because of what Barbara and I called the pound-demic. I had put on some weight. And I wasn't feeling good about putting on the weight for 2 reasons. Number one, my pants were getting tight. And number 2, I'm Dr. Schwartz, and Dr. Schwartz should be comfortable with his weight because he's kept it off and he's got to be on some level a model for everybody else. And I suddenly realized that I started thinking about food and how I was eating and how it would affect me and when I could do it and where I could do it, and realized that interconnected with me wanting to weigh less were all these emotional issues. And I thought it might be a good idea today to explore that kind of thing because as I look around me, I don't know if you've been watching television, advertisements, and what's coming in the newspaper, but more and more there are countless programs out there that make you promises. And those countless programs that make you promises really never do anything to help you be successful. There are tricky ways, there are fast ways, there are special ways, there are savings, we'll do it for you, take this pill. Now, the key is not and never has been to lose weight. The key has to do with you and what's in your head. Now, the reason we're changing from Weight Loss to Life is because we've determined that we have a program that works. It's ageless. We didn't invent the program. If it weren't for Dr. Chu, I would not be here and his training of me. This program is, according to Dr. Chu, over 1,000 years old. And every single one of you know it works. And the reason it works is based upon science. There is no magic involved. It makes total sense. And it's incredibly healthy. Now, if you want to weigh less and you're doing something that's incredibly healthy and will help you make your goal, what's the question? Well, let's take a look at both guilt and shame. And I've taken the liberty of going to the computer and the dictionaries and trying to kind of qualify what it is that we're talking about. I'll give you a simple example. I was speaking to one of our patients on the telephone, and I've spoken to quite a few this week. And she said to me, her friends and she had decided to get together. They hadn't seen each other because of the pandemic for a while, and she was going with them. And she called me on the phone and said, Dr. Schwartz, like most social events, we're going to be sitting around a table and in a restaurant, and people are going to be eating. What should I do? And it struck me that she was asking me a very interesting question. And I said to her, what is it you mean when you say, what should I do? What do you want to do? She said, I want to be with my friends, but they're all going to be eating. And I said, okay, you want to be with your friends and they're going to be eating. What's the problem? What should I do? And I said, what do you mean? What should you do? Well, they're going to be eating and I'm not sure what I want to do. I said, wait a second. What do you mean you're not sure what you want to do? She said, well, I've been doing pretty well on the program. I'm happy with it. Here's an opportunity to go out. I haven't gone out in quite a while. I'm going to be with friends. And it's a social event. So there's going to be some alcohol, I'm sure, as well. But they're going to be eating. And, well, what should I do? And I said, stop. Tell me, what is it that you want? She said, I want to go and I want to be comfortable. I said, okay, what's going to make you comfortable? She said, I don't know. I've been losing weight, and if I go and eat, I'm going to be sending a message to them and to me. If I don't eat, I'm going to be sending a message to them. And I said, hold it. What is it going on that you want to weigh less? You're on a program and we're having no dealings with you. We're having dealings with everybody else and their feelings. I thought you told me they're your friends. Well, they are my friends. I said, okay. Well, if they are your friends and you're getting together with them, which is certainly going to feel good because you've been isolated for quite a period of time, it's going to feel good sharing and being with your friends. She said, yes, but what will they think? And I said, well, what do you mean, what will they think? Well, depending upon what it is I do, I'm going to make them think. And I said, is there a secret here? Is there something I'm not clear about? These, you tell me, are friends. You're going to be with them. You're going to be talking with them. And yet, there's a problem. And I'm not sure what the problem is. It has something to do with food on some kind of level. But you're not being very clear. And we went back and forth, back and forth. And she said, "What will they think?" And I said, "They will think whatever they think, but you told me they are your friends. If they're your friends, you care about them, they care about you. You wish to weigh less. Is there a problem with you wanting to weigh less? Well, they'll all be eating, and I won't." I said, "You won't?" She says, "Well, I'm going to go out." And I said, "So you're going to want to eat?" And she said, "Well, I don't know whether to stay on the program or not to stay on the program." And again, I said, "What is it you mean I don't know?" Now, let's take a look at the meaning of guilt, because she was feeling very guilty and maybe even shameful. And let's talk about that for a minute. What is guilt? Self-conscious emotion that gives you negative thoughts, feelings that make you not feel good about yourself. Guilt is also doing something you think is wrong. Now, I'm here to lose weight. Are you here to lose weight? Yes. You're my friend. I want to lose weight. Well, that means if you want to lose weight and I'm going to be eating, then what does that mean for you? Well, I'm going to say to you, I want to weigh less. And so I'm going to restrict and control myself because I want to spend time with you. I want to talk with you. And I'm going to restrict what it is that I'm doing because I want to achieve my goal to weigh less. Now, if we don't add anything in here, what's the problem? The problem is, number one, as I told you, from my childhood, people in Europe are starving. If I control what it is that I'm eating, I was taught I'm doing something wrong. And if I'm doing something wrong, I guess thoughts of guilt and being bad went into what it is that I was thinking. And I grew up. And when I grew up, my interaction with people was colored by the fact that people could behave differently than me. It also means that someplace in my head, I'm thinking that you may be judging me. And I'm looking and you're doing whatever it is you're doing and enjoying yourself without any restriction. And here I am with you and you're enjoying yourself and I'm restricting myself. Okay. Can you help me understand what it is that I should feel bad about doing what is good for me? I'm interacting with you. I'm enjoying your company. I'm with you. Yet you're enjoying yourself. It must mean if I'm restricting myself, that I'm not enjoying myself. Well, what is it that's going on that I'm not enjoying myself? Well, you're not allowing yourself to be free. Now, I'm not allowing myself. So, therefore, weighing less becomes a problem because somehow or other it restricts me. I have an 11-year-old granddaughter. We're in a parking lot. We get out of the car. I take my granddaughter's hand and she sees something and she says, "Grandpa, let go of my hand. I wanna." And I don't let go of her hand. And the reason I don't let go of her hand is because in the parking lot, there is danger involved. She's only 11 years old. I'm not certain she knows how to navigate. And I don't want to take the risk that she's going to get hurt. Now, there must be something wrong with me because I now want to restrict her. And so obviously there's something wrong with being restricted. Now, let's get rid of the rules, and I'm going to let her loose and let her run. Number one, I'm going to be anxious as all heck because I don't know what's going to happen in a parking lot. And she wants to be unrestricted. The answer is the situation and the circumstances. We have to learn to be honest with ourselves. You have every right to wish to lose weight, to weigh less. The only thing you have to do is say, "I wish to weigh less." And if you say, "I wish to weigh less," you have to mean it. So therefore, you have to agree there's going to be some kind of restriction, whatever it is. You have to agree that there's some kind of restriction that's going to be involved. You don't have to justify yourself to me. It's a personal decision. It's something that you wish. And the only reason restriction is a problem is because you choose to weigh less. Now, I don't know about you, but I know of no one who can weigh less and not change some of their eating habits, let's call it. Now, if you want to weigh less, you have to change some of your habits. You have to restrict yourself. Oh, but now you have to justify it within our relationship because I'm not right now in the mood to weigh less. So I'm going to do whatever it is that I'm doing. And so what I'm doing is good and you're doing is not good. I need you to understand that the biggest problem that we have is that guilt comes from early life experiences where you've developed habits of some sort, and that the issue of good or bad came in. The only reason there is a problem is because you decided that you want to weigh less. What makes that a problem? Because the moment you decided that you want to weigh less, you also agreed to change your behavior. Now hold it. Food, therefore, is not good or bad. Food is only an issue because you chose to weigh less. If you didn't choose to weigh less, there's no problem. Do whatever it is you do because food is not an issue. Now we have another problem. I'm suggesting that you're going to judge me because you're unrestricted, and I may or may not, I haven't decided yet whether I'm going to be restricted or not. But now I created a problem. How do you feel about what I've decided? Now remember, you can't suggest it's good or bad because the only reason it's an issue at this moment in time is because of the fact that you said, I want to weigh less. Now, you're my friend. Are you telling me it bothers you if I weigh less? It doesn't bother you if I weigh less? That my behavior is different than your behavior? You're doing whatever it is you want to do, and right now I'm deciding to weigh less, so I'm going to restrict what it is that I'm doing. And now we're suggesting that my restricting myself from doing something is going to impact on you. And this whole thing gets more and more complicated because when I look outside, there are pills, there are programs, there's new things, there's old things. And one of the things that I have said to you from the beginning, AccuLife, which is our new company name, AccuLife is totally healthy. It has scientific principles behind it. It does not cannibalize your body. It's totally and absolutely healthy. It's chemical in nature. It does not use drugs. It doesn't use supplements. Nothing. In fact, the food simulates what you feel to a 10-month-old. And if I recall, when my kids were young, the greatest period of growth for them was around that period of age, where we were feeding them basically milk, fruits, and vegetables. Totally healthy. Period of growth. They did fine. Now, there are certain issues that we have here that are easy to deal with. People who are vegan, people who are vegetarian, people who don't like milk. We have positive solutions for all of that. So we can't use that as an excuse. The key is, are you committed to you? You said, I want to weigh less. Are you permitted to say, I want to weigh less? As far as I'm concerned, I think you are. But, and remember that word, but is one of those words that wipes out everything that came before it. I love you, but. Now, what that says is, I love you, but now I don't love you. I love you conditionally. I love you if you will always do what I want you to do. I'll love you if you never use a bathroom. The moment I say, but, I put my life in your hands. Because if I want you to love me, I have to give up me. And I'll tell you something. I want you to love me, but I want you to love me. I want to feel loved by you. And you should feel loved by me, because if I'm with you and I have a loving relationship with you, I want you to feel that you're important as well. Now, how do we deal with this? We deal with this in an open kind of manner. We have to focus on it. Now, let's get back to this woman. She's going out, and I said to her, what is it that you want to do? And she said, I want the best of both worlds. I said, okay, it's your life. You are allowed to have the best of both worlds. What does that mean? She said, well, how about I have a small salad and a piece of pizza because I know they're going to have pizza. And I said, okay, how about you having a slice of pizza and a salad? She said, well, they're going to be doing all this kind of thing, and I'm only going to be having a salad and a piece of pizza. And I said, yes. Well, what else? I said, let's deal with that. Let's say to them, guys, I'm so happy to be here with you. I'm in the process of trying to weigh less. You guys are enjoying yourself. I'm enjoying myself being with you. But I want you to know that I'm not going to be partaking of the food in the same way all of you are. I'll pick up my share of the tab. But I'm only going to have a salad and a slice of pizza. But what will they think? I said, yes, what will they think? They're your friends. You told me they're your friends. And you told me that you've shared with them what it is that you want. You're participating. You're enjoying yourself with them. And you are only having a slice of pizza and a salad. What's the problem? Well, they may feel uncomfortable. Okay. And what's the reason they should feel uncomfortable? Well, they're doing their thing, and I'm restricting myself, and they could think that, okay, now there's your guilt. You are doing something wrong. You cannot be you. You have to be what in your mind you think they wish you to be. Okay, I'll say, I'm just going to do my thing. And I said, okay, you're going to do your thing. And, well, I'm going to feel guilty if I do my thing because I'm in the process of weighing less, and I'm going to be doing my thing unrestrictedly. And I'm not going to be happy with myself. Yes, but, well, I'll feel more comfortable because they won't know, here we go, doing something wrong again. All of you are adults. You have a right to live in however you wish to live, as long as you're not doing harm. Old habits are old habits. I went on the program because Dr. Chu said to me, And I always fall back onto paraphrasing what he said. I was almost 300 pounds, and he had convinced me to open AccuWeight Loss. There wasn't a name yet, it was just a concept. And he said to me, well, what he said to me is, you can't be a weight loss doctor and also be fat. What I say is, he said to me, you cannot be an overweight weight doctor. But no matter how you color it, he said to me, choose. What is it that's right for you? And I realized there were two issues. Number one, I was obese. And number two, I was going to be teaching people how to live. And I couldn't be a hypocrite. So I went on the program. In 3 months, I lost 84 pounds. And you know what I learned? I learned I could do it. And I was so incredibly happy with myself because I had taken control. I didn't realize all of this stemmed from burnout at that time, but that's not important. I wasn't feeling happy. Circumstances were that I wanted to have what became AccuWeight Loss. And so I went on the program. The first 2 weeks, I hated it. And I hated it because I felt restricted. And I felt I was missing something. I was deprived. Hunger went away. I started losing weight. And I suddenly realized that I was taking back control of my life. I had gotten lost. There aren't too many times in life thinking and being in the middle of a forest, knowing where and how and what to go. One of the things I love about AccuLife and AccuWeight is that we go through the forest together. I'm your Sherpa guide. I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm going to educate you to what you're going to be facing and help you make the choices that work for you. We're going to give you back control of your life. I know of no one who's been successful with the program who didn't learn how good it was to be healthy and to weigh less. They did it for themselves, and that's what felt good. And what tended to dissipate was the feeling of being lost, of being bad, of doing something wrong. The key here is we have to verbalize. And when I spoke to the woman that we're talking about, and we went through this process of asking her questions and having her answer the questions, I'm going to tell you what her decision was and what she said to me at the end. Her decision was that she was going to tell them that she wanted to weigh less, but she wanted to participate with them. So she only was going to have a salad and a slice of pizza, but she was going to enjoy the company and feel good. And then she said to me, Dr. Schwartz, one of the things I'm going to find out, are they just acquaintances? Or are they really people who care about me? Because since I'm sharing with them beforehand and I'm participating on all levels, I'm not doing something that is harmful to them. In fact, I think it's great. I'm looking forward to getting together and catch up. And, and she said, girls, what girls do. And I shook my head, yes, but to be very honest with you, I'm not fully certain. And I spoke to her since. She said, Dr. Schwartz, I need to tell you, I came home feeling so good about myself because I was in control. I didn't hurt anyone. I stayed on course because it's important for me to reach my goal. And I've done so well that I didn't want to short circuit it. That's what we're all about. So the key is verbalization. The key is recognition. The key is asking questions. The key is sharing. And that's why these videos are so important. One of the most difficult things I have with these videos is that I cannot immediately respond to you and you cannot immediately respond to me. But we can share our experiences. We can learn how to live a life that feels good. And we know the difference between right and wrong. The other thing is we sometimes set up these, let's call it walls. We can't cross them. I don't know about you, but every once in a while, I get this feeling, the heck with it all, and I just want to do it. If it's not dangerous, it's a choice that I make. But I also, when I make the choice, don't give up control. I still have control. I may say I'm going to do whatever I do, but I'm not going to say I do whatever I want to do. It's now I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And so I'm going off on a sidetrack. But I'm only going off on that sidetrack for a limited period of time because that's what's in my head. And sometimes, I don't know about you, it looked good. So I laid down and rolled in a patch of cactus. It was stupid, but it's something I want to do, and I did it. And now that I've done it, I recognize it's stupid, so tell you I'm not going to be rolling around in cacti anymore. But I also learned that I don't have to roll around with cacti. That was foolish. It hurt me. But I learned something. And now that I've learned it, I can take the next step in making my life better. We're all about this. And we have to share. We have to verbalize. We have to learn to forgive ourselves. And forgiving yourself is something that you can choose to do. I was foolish. I'm going to forgive myself. It would be much more difficult for me to forgive myself if I harmed you. But I didn't harm you. I just exposed myself. You know, there's a Jewish expression that I come back to very often. I hope I'm pronouncing it correct, but it's chopped in bud. And what it is a saying that says, caught naked in a bathtub. Embarrassed, ashamed, and that's the, so to speak, colloquial. So you should be chopped in bud. You should be caught naked in a bathtub. What a terrible thing. You know something? I hope you don't catch me naked in a bathtub. Because at my age, even though I'm in pretty good shape, we don't have to go there. Now, I'd like to move forward and say, we have to verbalize. We have to share. We have to ask questions. We have to recognize that we are in control and there are no shortcuts. Every single one of those programs out there, every single one of those programs out there doesn't give you what I wish that you get from all of this. And that is a quality of life that feels good, that makes you get up in the morning liking who you are. There is no right or wrong as long as you're not harming yourself or someone else, because you can't escape you. You get up in the morning with a person who looks and feels like you. If their behavior, and they are part of you and you are part of them, if their behavior does not coincide with your behavior, in that you say, I'm happy to be with you. And that doesn't mean you can't have other opinions. It means you're the boss. You're the basic part of your personality. All of this other stuff are other parts of your personality. It's you. And you are the most important person in your life. And we've talked of that before as well. If I don't love me, if I don't like the me that I'm with, where am I going to get the emotionality to give you? Where's it going to come from? From a person who doesn't like themselves? A person who doesn't have happiness with themselves? We're creating a lifestyle here. We're creating a you that you like being with. And it has major ramifications for the quality of life that you're going to live. That's why we're doing this. Now, I'd like to get into some questions. And these were questions that came in over the week. Does it matter what I start with, milk or vegetables? The answer is no, it does not matter in any meaningful or significant way. From a chemical point of view, I always recommend you start on milk or dairy days. But if you're doing the program with someone, if there's some event that's going to come up, if you're going to be sharing and making meals or whatever else, if you start with vegetables, you start with vegetables. So that's not an issue. Now, what brand of pickles can I use that do not have vinegar? Now, I don't know about you, but I like half sour pickles. One of the rules in AccuWeight Loss is that you can't use pickles that are made with vinegar, because vinegar, from a chemical point of view, will interfere with the chemistry of the program. So, try to get pickles that are pickled with brine. Brine is salt. Salt is not a problem, and it avoids the issue, and everything then is fine. Now, one of the other things, the process is also fermentation, and one of the things I've learned over the years, that fermented foods like sauerkraut, for example, are extremely healthy for your gut. And your gut is your second brain and has a significant and major impact on your overall immunity. So think twice, because you're taking care of you. I went off the program and now I'm having a hard time getting back on. What can I do? Interesting question. Question number one is, what is it that this person means by having a hard time? Now, my big guess is, having not been on the period for a period of time on the program and acting in a more unrestrictive kind of way, the old habits came in. I can do whatever I want to do whenever I want to do it. And that's true. You can do whatever you want to do whenever you want to do it, as long as you can do it. Now, if you want to bang your head against a wall, you can bang your head against the wall. I wouldn't recommend it. In fact, I once had, when I was a full-time psychologist, a patient who had an obsession. And the obsession was, whenever she got emotional, she would start to bang her head against the wall. And there were major repercussions from banging her head against the wall. What did I do? I got her a foam rubber pillow. And I said to her, I know what you want to do, but you don't have to harm yourself. Every time you want to do this, have the pillow and put the hip pillow against the wall and bang your head against the pillow. You're getting the same effect, but we don't have the injury. You want to know something? She tried it. And she suddenly realized that she was happier without the pain, and said to me, help me understand why I'm taking out my aggression against myself. The key here is you are the most important person in your life. And if you make yourself the most important person in your life is going to change, because it's going to impact on everything in your environment, everything. And your life will change. Can I use coconut water? The answer is no. Coconut water is basically coconut juice. The only thing that I've ever done, and that's with people who live in places like Florida or Hawaii, where coconuts grow, is to tell people to make a hole in the coconut and drink it like a straw, because there it has all the electrolytes in it, etc. Aside from that, no coconut water. Is collagen allowed? Now, one of these days we're going to get into it, but inflammation is a big issue. Collagen is the material in the body that holds things together. Collagen in your knee, in your elbow, is important because it acts as a cushioning, etc. Inflammation wears it down. So collagen is not an issue. Inflammation is an issue. And as we go on and learn to take care of ourselves, we're going to pick up on that. If we're not talking with each other, if we're not talking with ourselves, if we're not asking ourselves the question, and what's important is, you know when you're being honest and when you're not. You can't lie to you. You can make believe that you're lying to yourself, but you can't lie to yourself. You know whether you are. And one of the things that's very important is what I said I did with this woman. I had her start to ask questions. And she came to answers that made her feel better about herself, because she began to like the person that she was having the conversation with, and recognized that she was the adult and the person that she was talking to was some aspect of herself. And she recognized that she had stopped talking to that aspect of herself. So there was no clarity, there was no understanding. It's time to start talking. It's time to start sharing. It's time to understand that guilt is simply a way of incorporating old habits and old principles. And because you're so tied to, let's call it the past, that it makes it difficult for you to deal. And remember, today is a present. The future, if we take care of ourselves, it can only be better. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you soon.